All right, let's now turn our attention to the politics of it all as well. What exactly is happening, and in particular, whatever's happening in Parliament, how could that have been avoided, and what's the best way to go forward? We're going to be joined by Shahzad Poonawala in just a couple of minutes as well. But Dr. Abhishek Manu Singh is joining us, constitutional expert, top lawyer, and also, of course, closely affiliated to the Congress party. Dr. Singhvi, what we have been seeing in Parliament is clearly disturbing. It's sad that bills are being passed with the entire opposition missing because our nearly 150 MPs have been suspended. But the government will also say that the opposition has been disrupting Parliament, trooping into the well of the House, mimicking the Vice President. So the opposition is also to blame.
Vikram, let's just step back for a minute. It's a far larger and a more important issue that is made out in all this petty politics. There is, of course, an important constitutional aspect, but I'll come to that later. Let's look at contextually in the political aspect. What is the sequence, Vikram? You have an unprecedented security breach, unprecedented not because of the result of what happened that day. God and fate and good luck saved us. But what might have happened on that breach. A canister in it could have been a bomb, could have been anything. So on that step two, we ask for something which is the most innocuous and ridiculously simple, obvious and obligatory thing to ask for in a functioning democracy, unless you are a kind of a auto mode pilot democracy. We say the Home Minister and the Prime Minister, or one of them at least, must give a statement on this breach. Number three, on that there is absolute and total mulish obstinacy for over a week. The same gentlemen are speaking in media, in channels, at Varanasi, at Surat, at functions, but they refuse to come and speak in the House. Step four, people go in with placards after 4 or 5 days of demanding it. And yes, placards are not permitted, but is it the first time, Vikram, you or the country has seen placards in the House? In the last 70 years, 7 years, 7 months, or 7 days, is it the first time you've seen it? Now, when you go there, an excuse is brought up that placards are not allowed, we will suspend you. You start with a batch of 40, becomes 80, becomes 142 or 148 at final count. All of this happens unrelated to, much before, anything to do with the so-called mimicry incident.
Dr. Singhvi, let me just...
both ways.
All right, I'm going to get others and also to discuss some of the constitutional answers. But let me just quickly ask you one last question on the politics of all of this, right? Because the politics of all of this is playing itself out when the India alliance was also having a meeting. You've been trying to get the opposition unity. Does something like this unite the opposition further? Does it make the opposition feel that there's no hope because we're not likely to have power? And incidentally, there was also this entire question thrown up at the India Alliance, and I'm going to try and get others in on the concept of let's have a Mallikarjun Kharge as a uniting figure for the entire opposition. So what's the politics?
That's a lot of questions. Give me a couple of minutes. First of all, it does unite because the indignation is righteous, it is correct, and it cuts across the political spectrum. I dare say, Vikram, that if you were to ask in private, 50% of BJP members would say this is not parliamentary democracy was run. It is not the first time a BJP government has come. It's not the first time a non-Congress government has been there. There have been governments. There have been the whole core of parliamentary democracy is magnanimity. It is trust. It is give and take. It is compromise. It is talks. It is communication. These are things which are not tangible and quantifiable, and hence we try to ignore them. But according to me, this is the heart of parliamentary democracy. And prime ministers from Vajpayee to Vishwanath Pratap Singh, to Devagowda, to others have practiced it. Forget Congress. Now, the other question you are asking is, and remember, do not try and be digressed or diverted by this completely cheap tactics of bringing in the mimicry incident, about which the member concerned, Mr. Banerjee,
this you said.
It was well before. Now,
I'm just trying to move from this into the
about the Kharge thing, and that's the last point you asked me. Let me say very clearly, it must be understood that the person himself, Mr. Kharge, has given the perfect answer. He has himself addressed. So where's the question of me addressing it? Why are we counting our chickens before we hatch? Let us make them hatch first. Let's get the numbers. And then there is complete unanimity that we will decide in a convivial, congenial atmosphere. This is a view expressed in a free and frank discussion, no doubt. And this is, let me tell you, it's a view warmly expressed. It's a view not out of animus or out of malafide. But that doesn't mean that this here and now we must decide, because this is what, on the negative sense, the BJP would like to do, to try and set the cat amongst the pigeons, create confusion, create divisiveness. That is not the issue at all.
Okay, fine. Dr. Singhvi, thank you so much for joining us.